Everyone. Today we are going to read half of a story. It's a nonfiction piece from Storyworks. The title of the article is The Boy Who Fought Hitler. At the top left, you have a picture, and his name is Ben Cam, and that is who this article is written about. Let's go ahead and get started. You probably know a kid like Ben Cam, the boy with big ideas and a quick smile, the one who will lead you off on an adventure and make sure you get home safely. Ben grew up in a different place and time than you, in Warsaw, Poland, in the 1920s and 30s. But he was enough like you and your friends that you should be able to picture him. Short but strong, his clothes rumpled from wrestling with his little brothers, his eyes bright and playful. Try to imagine Ben running through the crowded city streets with his friends, zigzagging around finely dressed ladies and fruit sellers and men with long gray beards. You can hear him laughing with his friends and shouting goodbyes as they all head home for dinner. But wait, do you hear that too? As Ben walks by a neighbor, a man hisses something in Polish, Brundizid, dirty Jew. Ben's skin prickles, but he doesn't glance at the man. The truth is that he is used to these words. Anti-Semitism, which is prejudice against Jewish people, is a fact of life in Warsaw, as it is in many European cities. Like most of Warsaw's 350,000 Jews, Ben tries not to think too much about it. The man's words are like the bitter wind that blows off the nearby Vistula River. Ben shivers for a few moments, but then he holds his head up and keeps walking. He quickly forgets about the man. Keep picturing Ben in your mind as he walks up to his spacious apartment, where his four little brothers happily pounce on him, where his father looks up from his evening paper and smiles, and where his mother serves a delicious meal in their cozy dining room. Now here's a picture I want you to think about for a moment. This is titled The Rise of Hitler. Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party rose to power in Germany in 1933. If you want to stop, you can for a moment to look at the picture better. We return to the passage titled Hateful Lies. This is where Ben's story takes a sharp turn into one of the most evil chapters in history, the Holocaust. As Ben's family is enjoying their dinner, Germany's leader, a man named Adolf Hitler, is plotting the destruction of Europe's 9.5 million Jewish people. Hitler rose to power in Germany during a time when the country was struggling. In 1918, Germany had been defeated in World War I. The German people felt humiliated, tired, and bitter. Hitler and his political party, the Nazis, gained power by tapping into these feelings. Jewish people had lived in Germany and throughout Europe for centuries, but their unique religion and rituals often kept them separate. As a result, some people were prejudiced against them. Hitler stood in crowded auditoriums and gave speeches filled with hateful lies about Jews. He said they were subhuman and an inferior race. He said they could not be trusted. His lies fanned the flames of centuries-old prejudice against Jewish people. Eliminate the Jews, Hitler proclaimed, and you will eliminate all of Germany's problems. Hitler's words spread from Germany to other countries in Europe. Many people turned against their Jewish neighbors. Synagogues, which would be a Jewish building of worship, like a church, were destroyed. Jewish-owned businesses were vandalized or burned to the ground. By 1945, 6 million Jewish men, women, and children would be dead. Nazi troops and their helpers shot them, starved them, worked them to death. Many died in prisons known as concentration camps. The Nazis built these prison camps just for the purpose of killing Jewish people. But for most of Ben's childhood, he and his family were happy and comfortable. Nobody suspected that this kind of hateful violence was even possible. Who could imagine such things? Ben would say decades later. Who could imagine? I'm going to bring you up to a map, and I'd like you to go ahead and stop the recording for a moment so you can take a look at this map. Red showing occupied Nazi. The greenish khaki color is the Allies who were against Germany. And the grayed out countries would be the ones who were neutral, not for or against. Nazi invasion. Ben was 18 when German troops invaded Poland and World War II began. With shocking speed, life for Poland's Jews changed. Many lost their businesses or were fired from their jobs. They were not allowed to set foot in public parks or libraries or go out after 5 p.m. Anyone who broke these laws could be shot. Ben's parents wanted to leave Poland, but Hitler and the Nazis quickly took over most of the countries in Europe. Escape became impossible. And then, starting on October 12, 1940, all the Jewish people in Warsaw and the surrounding towns were forced to move into one tiny area of the city. The area, which became known as the Warsaw Ghetto, was surrounded by a 10-foot wall topped with barbed wire and broken glass. Armed police herded hundreds of Jewish people through the streets. Ben looked with sorrow at those around him, women holding tight to their babies, men in business suits, teachers from his school, little girls wearing their fanciest shoes and dresses. No one was permitted to bring more than a few belongings. Ben saw a sneering policeman shove an old woman who lagged behind the crowd. The policeman's eyes were filled with disgust. Ben gripped his younger brother's hand, his heart pounding with fear and horror. The Nazis and their helpers, he realized, did not see them as humans. He felt like an animal, a helpless animal. Roughly 40,000 Jewish people were crammed into the ghetto. Ben's family moved into one small room. The gates to the ghetto closed. Nobody was allowed to leave. Rage at the Nazis burned inside Ben as his life in the ghetto became increasingly desperate. One day, a policeman drove through the streets with a smile on his face, firing his gun. An epidemic of the deadly illness typhus swept through the crowded apartments, killing thousands. Each person was given only a tiny amount of food. That's where we're going to end today. I'm going to show you a picture right here. This is a real photograph in Warsaw. These are Jewish people being put into this ghetto area. This photograph was taken in 1943 by a Nazi official. It shows Jewish people being ordered out of the ghetto. More are thought to have been murdered in concentration camps. So this first part of the story, this is a real true story about Ben. This is about the background of what was going on at the beginning of World War II. This was also about Ben being introduced to this Warsaw ghetto and what happened to his family. When we return to the article on Thursday, we're going to finish seeing how he fought against Hitler and what actions did he take and why is he considered a hero. Thank you.